เพลงที่เก่าเวลานี้
Yeah, since my first feature to the last one, Chatrak Mushroom, it's altogether about 6 years of work. So well, I feel like kind of relief inside of myself when I look at it, all of them, including my first short films. So you know, as a filmmaker, I can be happy and feel good myself inside. It's like a, you know, like you feel like when you wanted to say something and when you express with a confidence, and if you delivered, and if the people liked what you know what you have done, and you can be happy about it, and you feel relief in a way, you know. And also it's a new start, and I kind of feeling these 3 films and 2 shorts is making me a different person, different artist. So I can look something else now, you know, because it's all the works were quite relatively close. You know, I work in the same kind of subject and same kind of characters. So now I like to change a little bit. I can look something else. You know, I'm not very fond of an academic way of working, like where there's a school or a software that giving you a command to think one way, the other way, to create something on a format. You know, I'm not formatted to write, and I always like to inspire on a small object or a small feeling about that I have inside, a very true feeling about it. I can be inspired on a photograph to a little insect on you know. So I create a kind of imagery and a kind of emotion with it, and then it's suddenly becoming a story. So I can't just say that, you know, I'm thinking a plot, like what you call it in a Hollywood style, or in a most of people working on a plot. I don't have plots. Yeah. It's mean the twist of plot, you know, like you say this and it happen. Sometimes just that I got like few images in my mind. Like for example, in Between Two Worlds, I remember this guy is fallen from the sky. Yeah. I had that image. So I create the whole film, the 2 worlds and the 2 layers, you know. The sky and the earth, and the sky is always you fantasize, you know, it's in something with imagination, because as long as you're on the earth, you look up and you see gods, or you see your imaginary world in up there, and then the reality and down. So this is Between Two Worlds. So that was the first image that I had. So I whole film came to me on that, you know. Yeah, because the first feature she was very good, and I was happy with her, and then and you see at the end of the film she get killed herself, and so I want to take her back into the film, because the new film, because Between Two Worlds, she's there as a kind of a very a motherly character. She's representing a mother and the nature. And so it's like so I want to take, like, you know, as I said, you know, this film is about not directly reincarnation, but it has some kind of new life and old life and circle of life. So I thought of taking her in, so it can, if somebody watched 2 films together, it also adds kind of meaning to it. First of all, I really like to take when I take a camera to any place, whether it's nature, whether it's a street or a playground, wherever. I like to be accepted by the place. I like to open my mind and my eye to the place, in the sense whatever actions are happening, whether it's to be very sincerely be there, to be there, to feel the place. So when you do that, it's you won't impose your ideas onto the place. You decide to take whatever is given to you. So in the 4-second land, you see the wind is playing a major role, it become a character then, because you see there's one scene that the one character is opening windows like in the house, so letting the wind comes in it. So it's of course a character, because it's a kind of interaction between nature and every individual characters of the film. They got something to do with the wind. It's something that you feel yourself, your physical presence in the nature, in the place, in the landscape. My films are, I do believe, it's very physical films. It has always very adventurous, or the characters are engaging on a mission, on a physical exercise. Like they feel their needs. You can see through their physical presence, through their bodies. So the sexuality, of course, one of the very important subject when you do with your body or physics, because it shows a desire, and it's in a film. It's very important that you feel a kind of energy, kind of a magnetic or a connecting force through the sexuality. Because as everything is living in a film, is every single element in a film is a living thing, whether it's wind or rain or sunrise or whatever, the water, everything is a living thing. You see, it's create a kind of mood and energy. So that's important that the actors, the human actors, like I call it, all are actors to me. All elements are like acting, they're characters. So it's important that we are humans as also like kind of in a communication with these elements. So to do that, I think is very important to keep the desire alive, on your physical desires. So sexuality is does not deal with a direct what you call sex. It's more about desire. It's not just I'm not just taking. It's not for pleasure sometimes. It's just to show whether it can be violence or it can be a communication. It's exactly. Yes, it's to give the feeling of living. I'm completely Sri Lankan. I grew up there and I'm living there. I have part of all kind of problems that happened last 30 years in Sri Lanka, whether it's war or peace or any kind of political changes. It had a kind of impact on my life. So, and also history of the country is very, very interesting. If you look at it. So I feel so much of a very rich culture to deal with, and there are so much of beliefs and legends and myth and text are very important in Sri Lanka, and it's an important part of daily life because it's an incredible history we have in Sri Lanka. So it's a glorious victory to the violent past, or it's combination of everything. So I like, it's a great laboratory for me to work on, every subject matter, So I'm kind of proud myself that I'm exploring things as an artist, that my own culture with open heart. Sometimes it's very difficult to convince people and to watch things, to accept these things, because it can be bitter, in a cultural standards. The people are not very open-minded sometimes. They just wanted to close their problems. They like to see only the beauty, the glory. But it's, as artist, it's my duty to look at these things, to dig things and take this thing out, because when things are hidden, and it's always in a danger, because it can repeat again. So we being repeating these violences or problems because we want to hide them, we don't want to see them. So it's my duty to clean them and to look at them and to show them, because I'm not a politician, but it helps the politician to look at if they're generous and moderate and tolerance enough to look at it and take it something from them. If not, it's going to be in trouble, because that's what sometimes it happened to me personally. I'm confronting different problems with the establishment. But I don't want to get limited to Sri Lanka, because it's one of the places I love, and I love my country. But at the same time, I'd like to move as an artist to look other cultures, other places. It's Earth is a residence on Earth, as Pablo Neruda said. So it's anywhere in the world that I feel like I could live and I feel it. So my last film is shot in India. So it's a different culture, it's a different language. Of course, it's close to Sri Lanka, and I might do a film in Paris or in Chile, and it's what is important is I got something to feel and to say something about this place or the people or a special political situation. So as long as I'm confident myself and honest, the subject matter I deal with, I'm ready to do something. In Sri Lanka, we had a war last 30 years, so it was very harsh. It's a very difficult war. It's the longest civil war we had in Asia. So one of the bloodiest. This Tamil Tigers, this extreme political group had turned into a terrorist groups, and so they committed a lot of violence, and they had about 5,000 cadres who are trained to suicide, like a human bombs, So it was very violent movement, and so it's society becoming, when you confront such organizations, such a strong a movement, the whole society becoming violent equally to that organization, to confront, to deal with that in terms of ideas or in terms of feelings. So suddenly the whole country is becoming such a tense feeling, like you can't explain it how that, so when the war ended, we feel big relief, but still we have that kind of still we have that. It will take longer to heal. It's a big war. So in a place like that in Sri Lanka, to give your personal opinions about a freedom or to look at it in a different way, proposing something else, is very hard, because people don't want to look at things different, because they want to see how do you get rid of this thing, so they're not ready to accept if you are saying something else. It's very difficult to convince people, because it was not difficult to deal with politicians sometimes, maybe the public. Some are coming from extreme groups or political parties, have different opinions about war or my first feature got very controversial, I think, because it challenged a lot of in terms of cultural standards, or in terms of a cinema, because it's a very slow film, because people in Sri Lanka used to see a lot of Bollywood films or American films, so So it challenged every kind of that they know, you know, the way you see or way you understand things. So at the end, what you trying to get from the film, everything is very challenging ideas. So it becomes suddenly a very controversial film, because it's not very easy to convince people to come to see film like that. If they comes and they will feel like kind of provocation, you know, you did something against us. You know? So it's you, I mean, why you do something against us, and you're one of among us, and you should feel like us. So they, you know, they will ask you that question, because the voice of art is not that important when a country in a kind of in a dark period, you know, everything becoming everybody wants to put it in one side of it, you know. There's no different ideas, different stories. It's one or two stories, right or wrong, you know. There cannot be between the right and wrong and the black and white. So people are not open-minded to understand these things. So it's so they accuse me for that, you know. They accuse me and trying to make connection with the groups that I don't want to associate with. So they're trying to place me into a kind of a corner. It'll happen to anywhere in the world, that if the country is in such a dark period, you know, in a conflict and in a war situation. So I don't blame on the society, but I understand it's a struggle. But I would not give up, and I would always try to do that, because that's my duty, you know. And all you carry the history. I mean, all the beautiful art pieces, beautiful artists, great artists had done a great service to the society while working on such situations, in a situation, especially like war or conflicts, you know. It's very important, that duty, but also important that you decide that yourself, you're an artist, you're not a politician, so you cannot cross boundaries, you know. I mean, I decided to be silent 1 minute, because I know it's not any longer applying to me. When the film become very controversial, they start to discuss in a TV or newspapers about me, not the film. I completely got silent, because I have nothing to say about I mean, it's not that, you know, I'm not a politician, you know. My opinions are not that important. Important is to what I created, you know. And I got opinion for everything. It can change even throughout history, we never know. So it's not that I had to say something, you know, when I had to talk about the film, because the film talks itself. So it's important that not to overprovoke with your opinion as well after that. So it's better that the film let something happen in the society, and or your art piece, that something will have, you know, change the society, will interact something. It won't change like within a day or two. It can change in 10 years or 15 years or 100 years later. So you never know. So you let that thing happen, you know, without getting personally involved on a political discussions or political confrontation with the people with the different opinions, because then you suddenly become a speaker with just like in any other politician. Yeah, I was away from my country for about 1.5 years, because there are two groups who are supporting me in one hand, and there are many groups are against me, you know. So as I said, one group is saying that, you know, filmmakers should have a right to say what they have in their mind, and it's very soft way of approaching, saying, you know, why do you become so violent against us in an individual. So such a great, you know, like a lot of filmmakers raise their voices supporting me. So it's a very good thing. But on the other hand, like some political groups decided to support me, saying my film is based on a reality. It shows a reality, and then it's a political truth. So they try to get the campaign out of that, you know. So the other groups are against me, saying, you know, we can't accept whether it's art or the truth or whatever, because it's whether maybe it's a right thing, maybe it's right, but we don't want to take that into our establishment, because we wanted to defeat that. We don't want to see our society like that. We want to be positive. We wanted to, you know, we don't want to see that anymore. We had seen this ourselves. So it was very complicated situation, you see. I mean, then I decided to be silent, because If I get into that, then I would support some community in the other way. If I'm going to justify it's a reality, the films are based on a real situations, which is also not true because it's a fiction. It's of course it has a influence or coming to me inspiration or the tragic stories I have seen in the country, but I can't really say that it's represent one story, one particular reality, because it's a complete fiction. So then I'm neglecting my power of art, or that the freedom of art also, so I cannot be sided on this case. So I decided to be very silent, and people accuse me, and then all start accuse me because why you are not coming to discussion, you should be there. But I told them, it's very difficult. Privately I told them, I can't come to discussion because I don't want to give any ideas to people that will hunt me down in my next, or the other artists get impact and have a kind of impact on my words, in the sense, if I speak out something very clear, to define things like this is an art, this is not an art, this is a reality, this is not reality. So it's only going to be on a conceptual and going to be in a very complex situation that will used one day to attack us again. So better be in silence, let things happen. So if it's somebody saying, I really liked it, it's very important, and also I said, I hate your film. So that means I had provoked that person's ideas and emotions. So they're equally the same, so I like this kind of a situation. So I know my work is important in that sense. So it's a challenging thing, So it's in Sri Lanka, the film works for me. It's challenged the whole country in a way. It's one film, this one feature film. It let the whole society discussed about their own problems, and they came out with ideas. It's a very good thing, So we probably you don't have a majority supports you in it, But if the majority against you, also it's a good thing, Because it's you had done something for these people. It's a provocation, and one day they might even change. And throughout history, because see, especially it's my first feature film, and they don't know me as an artist before. So if they see me throughout the history that I do something, and they start to look at it and say, okay, it's not, he didn't do that for his personal gain. He's not a politician. He keeps saying something to us. So it's then they kind of have a kind of a respect for me, It's created now.
You do not have a reaction. It's like a Hollywood film.
Exactly.
Everything is calculated.
Yeah. So I don't like that, It's like everybody, when you walk out from the cinema, oh, we liked it. Yeah. It's not that important to me,
Here.
Yeah, it's just a manipulation. So you could do a film, very carefully manipulated the feeling of being happy, being, you feel like, oh, I like that film, It's not what I wanted to hear from the people. What I like to hear, it's more something that comes from inside of you. It challenges you, It's not, you can't reduce to just one word, say you liked it or hate it. It's more than that. So, but the people express like that. No, I hate, I can't stand, I'm angry. So I had done something to the person. I think I'm more narrative than some of our real narrative filmmaking. What I mean, because I grew up in a culture where oral storytelling is very important. So I was hearing a same story from different individuals, from my grandmothers to mothers, the fathers, the same story. And when I was with my father, I asked, can you tell me that same story? So he's telling that, but he's with his emotions in it. And it's different, it's not the same story. But unfortunately, the nowadays the people, the kids are watching cartoons or on TV, but there's nothing changed. Every time is the same story, because that's the desire of the kids to see the same thing again and again. They enjoy that. But when it comes to oral form, its beauty is that it changes always with the mood of that person, the relationship that you have with that person. Yeah. And so I'm very narrative in that sense, because I need to know something that is from, in a narrative sense. If you're gonna tell someone, you need to have a kind of narration, but it exists on the oral form. So each and every film is a different experience. and even you work with the same actor or same technicians, it always an experience of your life, and give you a millions times of living a feeling. You know, you can't explain it. I really like to work with people on a film set, because you're getting a lot of idea. People give you small details sometimes. It added to you. You know, so you see that you can carry that whole thing. It's with your big idea you have. People contributing, and they're happy with, oh, I did that. You know, the small things, small little change in your film, a color, they come up with an idea, and they're just like, if you feel it's gonna work for you, you know, if that person can convince me on that, he feel great about it, you know, because I'm convinced with the big idea.
এই ছেলেটাকে খুঁজছে